Hello, good citizens. My name is Dan. And in this video series, I'm going to show you how 3 Victoria Crown prosecutors and their witness committed indictable offenses on the record and got away with it all. In July 2015, I had a run-in with a neighbor who's notorious for not cleaning up after his dog. Upon calling him out on it, he came from across the street onto my property and started uttering threats. When I called the police for help, they showed up acting overly aggressive on the incorrect information in their system, which they knew they encountered on a regular basis, refused to ID themselves, and basically escalate the situation to where the victim calling for help actually became the suspect of a crime. This is where VicPD Greg Horonowich, badge 422, showed up outside of my door, threatening to break it down, telling me to shut up 3 times, and refusing to ID himself. Now, I won't go too much into Greg on this video series because Greg has his own video series. He's actually done so much stupid things. He's got his own series all to himself. Check that out if you want to know more. Later that night, when I came home from work, I found out that a police officer had shown up asking to speak to me about an alleged assault that had occurred earlier that day. So when I told him what happened, he became very argumentative. And he was threatening me with arrest, a criminal charge, having to go to court and hire a lawyer. So when he told me I had to apologize to somebody for assaulting them, I basically told him that if you've got some sort of evidence that I assaulted someone, I'll see you in court. And basically ended it there with him with a few more choice words between the two of us. Now at this point, Ron Kirkwood has my full name, date of birth, address, phone number, etc. Okay, he has all this stuff right now. Now fast forward to November 2015, and if you think of the seasons between July, when this happened, and November, when I eventually called Ron Kirkwood back to see what was going on with these charges and this warrant that he threatened me with, there's a big gap in time, and absolutely nothing happened with this police file. So I called him and spoke with him on the phone on November 10th, 2015. And what he told me was, if he didn't hear back from the complainant, Mr. Pooh, within 3 business days, that he was going to conclude the file without charges. But according to statements that he wrote, within under an hour of that phone call to him, he began the process of manufacturing statements and tracking down the complainant, Mr. Pooh, to try to convince him to come to court for this so that Ron Kirkwood can arrest me and have me imprisoned and charged for telling him over the phone in November that he was wrong. 3 weeks after that phone call, I found out that he came to my work to try to arrest me. Luckily, I wasn't there. He showed up with a province-wide, unendorsed warrant for my arrest at my job. Again, this is because of the phone call in November 2015 where I told him he was wrong. So I went from a victim calling for help to now being arrested, imprisoned, criminally charged, and being placed on bail conditions. Oh, and during all this, I have no criminal record. And remember how I said earlier about how he knew my name, date of birth, address, phone number, etc.? He had all that. So why would he take out a province-wide unendorsed warrant for my arrest, which gives him the powers to basically arrest me anywhere, even at my work? I decided to fight the criminal charge all on my own without a lawyer. And that was because the allegations were so bogus. There was no evidence. And there was a clear picture of police retaliation from Ron Kirkwood and Greg Horonowich. And it was around that time I decided to start my YouTube channel, Not So Silent. thinking that when I started it, it would just cover my dealings with Ron Kirkwood and Greg Horonowich. But boy, was I wrong. Little did I know what I was going to uncover along the way. So now apparently this assault charge is sticking, which is odd considering there's no evidence. So technically this doesn't meet the charge approval standards of Crown Counsel, especially because there's such a flimsy investigation here with the months that went by where nothing happened, and then all of a sudden, due to a phone call where somebody gets butthurt and told that they were wrong, oh, now it's ramped right back up, and oh, this is the most important thing we've got to deal with right now. There's also supposed to be a substantial likelihood of conviction for Crown prosecutors to approve of this charge. So why would they take this case with no evidence? It doesn't even meet the charge approval standard. There's an obvious flimsy investigation. Wouldn't that not be a substantial likelihood of conviction? So why would they take this? Well, it's because of Kirkwood's lies and deceit. And I'm basically going to stop here with going on about Constable Kirkwood, because Constable Kirkwood is so stupid and such a liar that he has his own series of videos on my channel. So I'm just going to move on and get to the 3 Crown prosecutors here. So as I made my first 2 court appearances on my own shortly after I was charged, I got 2 disclosure packages from Kate Dutton and her assistant, S. Wilson. In the disclosure packages, they disclosed their victim's, his address to me, someone that they were portraying as an angry, violent offender. And it was at this point that I decided to include Crown Counsel prosecutors in my YouTube video series. And in April 2016, they had called me into their office to pick up a disclosure package. When I went in to pick up that package, I asked to speak to Kate Dutton. My reasons for doing this was mainly to get her on film to use the footage for my upcoming YouTube series videos. In January 2016, I set a date for a 2-day trial for August 2016. And I even requested a trial confirmation hearing in June 2016 to make sure we were going to trial. And in August 2016, on the morning of the trial, Kate Dutton hands me a disclosure package as the trial is scheduled to start. Now that is completely unfair for a prosecutor to dump a disclosure package to someone who's defending themselves against a criminal charge on the morning of the trial as it is about to potentially start. Turns out the story's changed from the original and is now more consistent, now that some of the obvious BS has now been changed. Some of the direction issues were corrected, some obvious coaching of their witness and statements. So what this told me was that they're in it to win it, and if they rely on unfairness and witness and statement coaching, then this is the kind of thing that brings our justice system into disrepute. This is an obvious case where a prosecutor is just trying to get a win and literally so desperate that she'll just do anything to try to get this win. So as this trial is about to start, my intention here was to not only win and prove I'm innocent, but I also wanted to make fools of the Crown prosecutor for prosecuting me without any evidence, and for bringing our justice system into disrepute, wasting court time and taxpayer money, committing fraud against the public trust, and playing games with people's lives. That's what I intended to do in this trial. And I did just that. However, I paid for it dearly. And within 24 hours of the first day of trial, I was arrested for allegedly breaching bail conditions. After a Wednesday sleepover at the Victoria Police Department, I am now at the mercy of the Crown Prosecutors. And they decided to teach me a lesson. And this story covers how Crown Prosecutors used the courts as a weapon in retaliation for me knowing my rights and standing on them, as well as exposing their mistakes and getting them on photo and film for future publication. This next part details the first day of trial for the assault allegation that I'm facing. What happened and what was said are all preserved on the court's digital audio recorder, or DARS as they call it. From the DARS, you will see actual court transcripts. What you're about to see and hear on the record in the Victoria Law Courts is perjury, public mischief, fabricating evidence, criminal harassment, and obstruction of justice. Of not only the Crown Prosecutor's witness committing all 5 of these offenses, but the 3 Crown Prosecutors all committing the last 3 offenses. This concludes part 1. Thanks for watching.